Sorry, I tried to rule Earth. They'd be lucky to have you. I'm sorry about that thing with the Tesseract. I just couldn't help myself. I'm a trickster. Yes, so mischievous.
So mischievous.
That's so good. I can't believe there is no GIF of that specific line. I tried looking when
I
you
know.
mentioned that.
I'm a trickster.
I'm a trickster. Oh, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to What If Episode 6 Spoilers. I am Taylor Field.
I am the killer, Kirklin Patzer.
Ooh. Yes, this is the spoilers episode. So we'll start off with a quick non-spoilers, then break out into spoilers. Some plugs. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerseCast is our Twitter. GeekVerse is our Facebook. Be sure to check us out on our Patreon as well, because you can get ad-free exclusive early content on there. It's super, super cool. Lots of cool stuff is coming up in the works here. I believe dropping on the feed, you and Travis have some James Bond stuff that's popping like every week until the new one comes out, right?
We got a Bond retro coming out. Yes, we just did the Quantum of Solace episode. So we have Skyfall next, and then Spectre, I think, is the movie after that, all leading up to the release of the new film, No Time to Die. And those are lots of fun, so make sure to check those out.
Very cool, very cool. What else do we got? Guys, just tune in our social media. We got stuff that's popping up, some good stuff. So without further ado, non-spoilers, what do you think of this episode, Kirklin?
Yeah, episode 6. So the last 2 episodes were amazing, in my opinion. I thought they were like super dark as well, like really creepy. The zombie episode and the Doctor Strange one, like both of them, I feel like moments they like kind of tore your heartstrings. You know, maybe all these episodes actually, because a lot of them have to do with just like our main characters just getting like popped. It's like, oh no, they're just killed off. So I didn't know what I was expecting going into this episode. I knew it was going to be Killmonger. I didn't know where it was going to lie on just the epicness scale. If it's like, you know, a more emotional episode or just a more fun one. So I feel like I was going in pretty blind, other than the fact that I know that Killmonger saves Tony. I mean, like, it's in the title of the episode, but all in all, I quite enjoyed it. I don't think it was quite up there for me personally compared to like the last 2 episodes. I think it falls shorter among both of those. I'm only just comparing the last 2 because I think those were just the last 2 reviews I've been on. I kind of was slacking for the first couple, but yeah. So in comparison to those episodes, I think it's a little bit lesser, but it's still a really good episode. It explores different avenues, like all these what if episodes that are just really interesting and really fun. And yeah, like without spoiling anything that really happens, I like the character performances for the most part. I think a running theme in the What If series is like, I have, you know, like the actual voice actors of like the people that play the role, and then I have like a new fill-in one. And there's times when I like the fill-in one more. I like the actual actor more. There's times when I really don't like the actual actor, which is funny because they played them on live action. So I found it kind of similar in this episode. For the most part, I think I think that the returning voice actors, I don't know, like I don't know if it's just like, I don't believe that they're just like giving them all like their all in their performances, or maybe they're just like, I don't know, maybe I'm just like reading into it too much, but I felt like Killmonger at times, he didn't really feel Killmonger for me. I don't know if that's just because like Michael B. Jordan, the actor, is like, just, you're so into the character when you're actually like physically like portraying him, Killmonger, as opposed to just like in there reading lines. It must be a totally different like environment and like situation doing that. But nonetheless, I thought where we went with the character, it was still pretty true to like their vision and like what their goal was, with obviously some spins in there. So we'll dive more into it in the spoiler section. But Taylor Field, what do you think, spoiler free wise?
Yeah, it was a good episode. I definitely, like, for me, I can't put it above that Doctor Strange or that What If Zombies episodes, because those are so much more just right up my alley. I love what they did with those. But on the note, non-spoilers wise, what you mentioned about just with Killmonger, I think you hit it on the head there, just in the sense where there wasn't much depth to the adventure he was going on, I guess. I feel like maybe it was kind of rushed in that sense. And obviously they're just letting you kind of piece it together, the adventure he's going on based on what we've seen in the MCU and everything, so you can kind of figure it out. And they're kind of using that as a way to like rush and expedite the story of this episode, which is fine. But overall, I thought it was fun. I loved again the score popping in, the Wakanda theme coming up throughout all this was awesome. There were so many cool moments and a lot of left turns that I wasn't expecting, especially like the first probably like 5 minutes of this episode. They totally just derail like left turn, and I'm like giggling to myself because of like certain things that are happening with certain characters. And there was a couple cool little nods too, name drops and stuff
for sure.
But yeah, there's one very interesting thing that they've set up with this episode that I'm excited to talk about in the spoilers, and I think it coincides with something Travis has always kind of like brought up and inquired, like oh, like I'm not going to say that. I'm gonna wait for spoilers. I don't think I have anything else I can add into the non-spoilers. Just that it's yeah, it's a good episode.
Yeah,
it's definitely like, I'm not saying it's like my least ranked or anything like that by any means, but it's definitely it's up there. It's like middle echelon.
Yeah, I found one thing too, like non-spoiler wise. This episode felt very cliffhangery. Like some of the other episodes, they definitely left off with like, oh, tune in next time, you know. But this one, it felt like it was kind of like uncompleted, in my opinion. I felt like it was maybe left a little too open. Now maybe I'll be like kicking myself for saying this if we get like a part 2 in like season 2 of this episode, because I feel like they set up a lot of interesting things that have just not really happened yet. And also, like, if I'm recommending this episode watch them in order. They're not really that important if you watch them in order, but I couldn't see you just randomly starting on episode 6. But if you wanted to choose an episode and you are a huge fan of Wakanda, I definitely recommend this one because it's fun jumping back into Wakanda. I think that's spoiler free enough. It didn't really fill too much in, but just the venues, like you said, with the Wakandan theme, it's so much fun going back to that. It feels like its own world, honestly, within our world, but it's just such a magical place, and it's always fun exploring that. So yeah, highly recommend it if you're a fan of Wakanda. If you're a fan of Killmonger, for sure. There's a lot of fans of his. He's a really, really interesting character. So I think we should just dive right into spoilers.
Oh yeah, let's dive. We're going to jump to a quick ad break, and then we'll be right into it. And we're back. Thank you for taking the time to listen to that ad. All right, Kirklin, where do you want to start with this?
I guess, yeah, but let's just start at the beginning with the whole like Tony thing and how he was saved. He didn't end up being Iron Man. And I found it really fun, actually, because this was like a one instance where we really got to follow him as just Tony Stark, the genius and like the billionaire, as opposed to like Tony Stark, who's also Iron Man. Because we get a brief moments of that in like Iron Man 1. I guess in like Iron Man 3 and stuff, we have like some flashbacks to him in the back in the day. But I just found it really fun to like see him in the big boss chair, you know, not just like always doing his side products, making just more Iron Man suits and stuff like that. So that was fun. And
you like the Playboy lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when Bruce Wayne is just like Bruce Wayne and running Wayne Enterprises or whatever the hell it's called. I don't know. I just find that those moments fun, especially in the MCU. It's so limited. Probably for a positive reason because we just get a lot more Iron Man moments. But I just found that really fun. Really, really interesting too. Like the way that him becoming Iron Man shapes him as a character. Like I felt like him and Pepper's relationship was like basically non-existent in this version, just because, you know, he's just living that Playboy lifestyle and he probably doesn't have time for like a one-on-one relationship, or he probably doesn't want that. Whereas when he's constantly risking his life being Iron Man, I'm sure it's changed his character to become more of a sentimental person. And I mean, it's shown in the MCU. Go watch the however many movies that they build upon that relationship there, and just the character of Tony Stark while he goes through the transition of becoming Iron Man. But it was just really fun to see this side of Tony, who's Like that's who he was before Iron Man, right? And I'm sure if you read the comics, you know this already, but for us casuals that haven't dove into the darkest depths of the comic book world, it's just really fun to see different sides of the characters that we just know so much about already.
Yeah, I completely agree. This episode just inflated that kind of vibe that we got for only 10 minutes in that original Iron
Yeah.
Man film. So I thought it was very welcome and very cool to see him kind of continue that happy-go-lucky, like, oh, were you hurt at all? And Tony's like, oh, I spilled my drink, so that's
Yeah.
like a war
Totally.
crime.
His one-liners. And like just like his relationship with, like I mentioned him and Pepper, but like him and Rhodey as well. Because you think of like back in Iron Man 1, like him and Rhodey were already buddies, but like the first person that like really like saw Tony was Rhodey, right? And then like that's probably a really big moment for Tony. He thought he was gonna die. And then in this instance it's Killmonger. So he kind of filled that gap of like the new savior, the new best buddy. And it seemed like he didn't really care too much about Rhodey. Which I thought was fitting for what this Tony probably would have been going through and stuff. So,
yeah, that's a good point because it even worked vice versa because Tony kind of filled that void for Killmonger, right? Like Killmonger didn't really want to take him down. I mean, we'll talk about that later, but
yeah,
I mean, they kind of had like a cool little friendship going on. Now, when you say like the relationship was affected between Tony and Rhodes, I feel like it was to a degree, but when Tony busted out that robot, which totally just is reminiscent, I feel like, of the hammer drone from Iron
right.
Man
Oh,
2.
100%. That's exactly what I was thinking about.
Yeah. So when he whipped that out,
where do you put the person?
yeah. When he whipped those out and he was going after Killmonger, I felt like, okay, he's super pissed, like he's out for revenge.
That's a good
like,
point. Yeah.
So there was that defining moment there, but yeah, yeah, it's cool because the relationships are all differently affected. Pepper is clearly only into heroes, and Tony wasn't that. So.
And like Happy, right? Like he wasn't the head of security, so like he was kind of swept to the wayside. Whereas in the MCU that we know and love, it's just their relationships are so much stronger because you don't have someone like Killmonger that just replaces the roles of so many different individuals. And I thought that was portrayed well in this episode.
Yeah, very bold move to make him COO.
Oh, I know. Like there's a lot of moments that are kind of eye rolly, but I mean. It's a what if episode. It's also comic book stuff, so I kind of get it past there.
So when he was saved by Killmonger and they walked off in the sunset, and he's in his press conference, I liked again. They mentioned the 10 rings. Shouts to Shang-Chi.
Oh yeah.
But when they were in the interview and Obadiah Stane was there, and Killmonger just steps up, is like, "Yeah, I found out it was all like." Planned and everything. Here's everything loaded up onto the web of Obadiah Stane signing off on it, and he's like panicking and everything. It was so funny.
Yeah, that was a good moment. I was honestly expecting for some sort of line of like Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps, but like some other version, like maybe it wouldn't have been Tony, just some sort of box of scraps reference.
Yeah.
But no, I thought that was funny. I thought it was unexpected, honestly. I thought it was going to be leading to, like, I thought the plot was going to be like maybe Obadiah and Killmonger were working together. And then it just like they had some nefarious, because I don't know, some of their opening lines, it seemed like they were kind of under, like they knew about each other. But then obviously a couple seconds later, Killmonger just exposes them, and maybe they did have an understanding or something, and then Killmonger just betrayed him. It wouldn't have been the first time that he's done that. But yeah, no, it was a fun moment, especially when like Happy comes there and just like fucking decks Obadiah. It's like, oh yeah, that was a fun moment.
Yeah, that was good. I'm trying to think what else happened in that period of time. That's where it kind of like got expedited and kind of really was rushed. But again, I like that they kept Killmonger's motive secret, because I was trying to figure out, okay, like, is he really changed to a degree?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I thought he was gonna be like a goody good, and then once he started just like taking control of all these powerful positions, and I don't know, there was a lot of like zoom ins on like his little evil smirk there. Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, he's got something cooking. And just remembering like his goal from Black Panther, I thought they did a good job at like still reiterating that like that is his main goal. Like he still really wants to fight for like his oppressed brothers and sisters and stuff like that. And it's basically the same message that he wanted in Black Panther, right? Like take control of Wakanda so that he can just arm oppressed Black people like across the world, and then just rise up. And I like that was still like his goal, but like I was hinting to earlier, how it ended very abruptly. I felt like it was still like I don't even know what his main goal is really at the end of the episode, like because he's not actually King of Wakanda at the end of this episode. We know that he has the Black Panther power, but like T'Chaka, I think that's the king's name. Like he's still around, I believe. Yeah, so like I don't know. I felt like maybe it just ended too abruptly. These episodes are only 35 minutes, or 30 minutes, and then the credits and stuff like that. But like so there is only so much you can do, and there's only such a level of information that you could just dive into in that short of time. And there was a few moments that seemed like we like really rushed to the next moment, but I kind of just reminded myself that it was a short episode, 30 minutes. Like we did get a lot in this episode actually for a 30-minute window, but I think because it was so condensed, some moments like that was just felt a little too cliffhanger. And again, like I said, I might be kicking myself for saying this. If we get a part 2, I feel like I've said that maybe on 1 or 2 other episodes, but of the What If, or maybe I just internal dialogue said it to myself. But yeah, I don't know. I guess that's a really long way to saying I like that they brought his original goal in. Maybe I'm just a little let down that we didn't really get to see it fully. I don't know. What about you? His motivation and his own like nefarious goals that he had behind the curtains.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was tiptoeing on in the non-spoilers portion, where I feel like it would have been nice to have a little bit more depth, because I feel like, yeah, it's the same as Black Panther, the film, but I feel like what he's going for here, and it being a completely different timeline, it would be very different. Not necessarily motives, but it would be different. And I want to see, because everything's being executed differently. I mean, he's expedited his takeover of Wakanda by like 10 years, I think, like significantly. Because even looking at like Shuri, she's significantly younger. Obviously, we have T'Chaka still alive.
That's right. And T'Challa's mom is like the general still. She's kicking ass. That was really fun to see.
That was super cool. So there's definitely a lot that's different.
That is a good point, because I feel like maybe there would have been a lot that happened within that 10-year span that like really, maybe he was just plotting the whole time and just brooding. But yeah, that I kind of forgot about how much like of a time or just how we're in the past at this point in time from where we originally meet Killmonger.
Yeah, well, on that note as well, we know in like, okay, the Black Panther film, in that plan, he's obviously working with Claw and everything like that. And here we see again, it's the same plan, I guess, with Claw, betrays him, brings his body in. So I guess that's like I don't know what you would call it, like something in time, like a moment in time that can't be altered or changed, like they say with Doctor Strange's whole debacle. Because I feel like no matter what, he's always going to work with Claw. And again, that was a pleasant surprise in this episode. It was cool to see Tony just kind of saying, yeah, let's just go black market and get Rhodes in there to do the deal.
Yeah, someone expendable.
Yeah, clearly in this episode.
Yeah, I mean, you just bring up Claw there. I love that character. I love Andy Serkis. I'm currently listening to the Hobbit on audiobook, and it's actually narrated by Andy Serkis. It's really, really cool. And you know, he's got Venom 2 coming out here pretty soon, so he's just I love Andy Serkis. He's so great. So it was really fun to see him hearing him voice Claw again. And that was one of like the actors coming back that I really, really loved. Maybe just his experience being a voice actor. You know, he did Gollum and Caesar. I don't know if Caesar talks at all. I haven't really seen this. Yeah, there you go. So he's just amazing. So no surprise really that he just killed it on the voice acting as Claw. He's just such a crazy character. He's always fun to see. And I'm glad that he stuck around for like most of the episode. His fate was pretty darn similar to Black Panther. Just his place of death was a little bit different. But I don't know. I found it fun. He was clawless. He didn't have that cool tech.
Yeah, pre-Ultron.
Yeah, all in the game. 30-minute runtime isn't enough to tell certain stories, but a trailer shot shows Pepper and Shuri fighting together. Ooh, interesting. I don't remember seeing that one. But yeah, no, it's very true. On the 30-minute runtime is enough to tell a complete story. And I think if we do get like a part 2 of these episodes in season 2, season 2 is confirmed if I'm not mistaken. So, well, because there's a lot still to like reveal, I think, especially in this particular episode, because some of the other ones it's like, okay, we covered most of the bases. It kind of left it like it didn't leave too much on the plate. It mostly just set up for like dessert or something. Maybe it's a better analogy to use.
A part of me wonders, okay, many of these stories will be continued in a season 2 of What If, or maybe a part 2 in this season if they have that. I don't know. Or, and this is something I'm very much more inclined to believe now when we get into Multiverse of Madness and stuff like that with those stories, I feel like some of these characters will jump into it. I know Travis predicted Captain Carter, and I 100% believe that, so she'll be in live action for sure. I can't remember. I don't think they confirmed it, but I'm pretty sure it was like really rumored and hinted at. But anyway, so I think some of these stories could be brought over to live action, because even then the zombies one, they revealed that it may be going into development in a live action version.
That was your dream.
That's
when we were reviewing it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I hope it comes true, but that's just what was rumored at the moment. And I use this as a segue to Killmonger. Now I know everyone was super bummed out that he died in Black Panther. Now we have a clear-cut way of how he's still
totally
came. And I think that's like a great opportunity to bring him back into live action MCU.
Yeah, I feel like my only other way to get him back in the MCU is if some sort of Multiverse of Madness stuff happens and he's here, and then he just kind of gets stuck here, wants to stay here, whatever it might be, and then that would be another easy way to just bring him back. But yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that point, because I mean, yeah, like we didn't even really get to see him as Black Panther in this episode. It was just like him being Killmonger and like getting his way to Wakanda. Didn't even really reveal himself like Palpatine, like he's still kind of hidden in the in the shadows. So there's so much left on the plate to really like dive into, in my opinion, on this episode more than others. And yeah, what was I even saying? Oh yeah, Claw. So yeah, Claw was all right. Nothing too crazy, but it's just fun to get him back on screen. And yeah, I don't know what else do you got? Killmonger related or just something else?
I don't know if I have anything really else much on Killmonger aside from he killed Colonel Rhodes, which was just like crazy.
That was like a personal death too.
Yeah,
and again, that like I like their dialogue there. It was very Black Panther-esque, where he's just calling him out on his shit. Like, how can you fight and die for like the flag that's basically like oppressing? And again, like all that stuff is really like powerful lines, and I always like those moments in Black Panther, and got more of it in this, so that was really fun to see. And those moments are really important when you're doing a What If series, because it's just defining who this character is. Like, yeah, they're in a different scenario, but it's the same character, and I think they're doing a really good job at that throughout this entire series.
Absolutely. Yeah, their dialogue was great. Like, if you want to change the system, you got to work at it from the system. You gotta be a part of the system or whatnot. Some really good dialogue. Again, that him killing Rhodes led to him killing Tony, which again was brutal. These guys are dying.
Oh yeah, I found it so like bold of Tony to just be like standing there when like Killmonger, like he does eventually kill him, but like he has his gun out and he's like shooting the robot. It's like, why wouldn't you just shoot the unarmed man who's like controlling this thing? But nonetheless, he got a more personal kill. So good on you, Killmonger.
Yeah, it was very bold of Tony just to rely on one robot, and he shuts his windows and he's just walking around the room with his alcoholic beverage in his hand.
Oh yeah,
with his train killer. On the game says those moments will always trigger certain people who rushed online sites to downvote the episode. I hope no one downvotes this episode. I mean, all the episodes are pretty good, I'd say.
Yeah.
what else do we have in here? We have. Well, it was an interesting dynamic. I'm just going to point out again with Killmonger and T'Chaka. I like their relationship, and I feel like T'Chaka. I wish that he would have sensed the bullshit, but it was cool seeing that this leading into Killmonger being Black Panther, and then getting that dialogue with T'Challa and the
Oh, that was so amazing.
the Phantom Zone. I don't know what you would call that.
Yeah.
with the other Panthers,
Like the different realm, the Panther realm. We'll go with. Yeah, no, I loved all that stuff. We didn't really like get that with them. Because even in like the original MCU movie, Killmonger goes to that same astral plane or whatever it is, and like T'Chaka's there, but he only really interfaces with his dad, if I'm not mistaken. And I just like that he interacted with not only T'Chaka but also T'Challa in the realm, and like obviously he can call him out on all of his bullshit. He knows exactly what it was, and I love that line when it's like, oh my gosh, I don't even remember what it was, but basically like you can't hide from like who you are from like in their realm or in our realm. And I love that because like eventually if it all goes well and he's Black Panther, eventually he's gonna die and he's gonna end up in that realm with the other Black Panthers that are just gonna be like, look what you did.
Yeah.
Now you're stuck with us, we're gonna kick your ass. So like I love that moment, and I really like the moment between him and T'Chaka just like telling stories of his dad, just them like comparing stories I guess with each other, and like the whole time like T'Challa or Eric Killmonger, he's just really like I feel like he's just putting on a facade. Like, yeah, I'm doing this to make my end goal. But then I still feel like there was moments when like T'Chaka like really was like getting to him on like a sentimental level. Because he is family, right? Like he's the closest family he's got in that instance. So I liked all their dialogue. I did think that, I don't know, maybe just all the Wakandans in general were just a little too open to him, but at the same time, that's basically how it went in the MCU. I guess the main difference between this and the MCU is that there was an empty throne or a throne to be claimed when he showed up. T'Chaka's sitting mighty fine and comfortable on that throne. I don't think he's going anywhere, but
No.
and like, wouldn't he technically still have the power, T'Chaka?
Well, it's weird because they can absorb the power and then they can give away the power, right? They have the back and forth kind of thing. So I imagine I don't know Black Panther or Wakandan tradition, but I imagine if there's only one Black Panther at a time, he would have received abilities.
That's right.
And,
he's just like huffing some on the side. He just loves it. The rush.
The rush.
That'd have been great. Just like a Killmonger T'Chaka fight. And T'Chaka's got like his big like beer belly, just like retired.
So cool.
He's still just kicking ass. So yeah, no. I just getting back to them. I really like all their dialogue, and Killmonger's just like interactions with the other Wakandans was just fun. He still comes off very confident of a person, but yeah, I just liked seeing him in Wakanda.
All right, we're gonna jump to our last ad break, and we will be right back. And we're back. So I guess a couple more things we can mention before we get into just our quick final thoughts. So General Ross was in this, and I absolutely get a kick out of how just because Tony dies, he's like, okay, the military is claiming all of the Stark Industries assets. Like, that's a bold fucking claim.
Oh, absolutely. Billion-dollar company, multi-billion-dollar company, and then they're just like, oh yeah, Patriot Act. And it's just like, oh man.
Oh man.
Fucking the government. That's so crazy to me. But yeah, that moment was really intense, especially like after that. It's like so symbolic. They start building their like fucking hammer drones to just take over the world, and then it's just like they're in like that warehouse, like Stark Industries, all in red letters. It's just like super like this is like 1984 oppressors, and just this is the military government taking over, right? So it's just very like stereotypical, you know, like but I liked it. I I thought it fit definitely. Especially with like all the hammer drones. I'm just gonna call them hammer drones
Oh
because it's
yeah,
funny.
yeah.
But like with all their red glow and everything, they just seem like death bots, and it's so funny that we just have Thunderbolt Ross leading the charge on that.
Yeah.
And yeah, like just Pepper just lost her entire company in that instant.
Yeah, I can't believe that. It's just mind blowing. Yeah, she now works for the U.S. Army or whatnot. On that note about Pepper, so how did you feel about? I guess this is the cliffhanger where her and Shuri are gonna team up because they got the evidence.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was interaction that I didn't think I needed, but I want now, especially after seeing them together. I think it's just a really fun pairing. They both lost someone like really close to them, Pepper Tony, Shuri T'Challa, and I mean that's just the first one. However many other people are gonna die to Killmonger, right? I can't see T'Chaka lasting. Um, it was just fun. I think it was unexpected as well. Just seeing Shuri there in her office, and it was just a fun little end. So yeah,
Yeah. I pretty much agree. It was a cool little Easter egg at the end there. Just kind of a team up. Like, and I'm not gonna say like our next time we see these characters is gonna be live action. I think they'll definitely do a part 2, kind of continuing Killmonger's story, and then down the road maybe bring him back into live action. But yeah, I'm trying to remember what else was there.
I really loved when Killmonger and Tony were just like brainstorming ideas. It's like, how are we gonna run this? And Tony's like, what if we just made like a mini arc reactor? He's like, oh no, that's crazy. That'll never work.
Yeah.
That was a fun line, and I think there's one or two other ones that just referenced like like the original timeline stuff. But
Jericho missile. I think they dropped that like 10 times.
His handheld Jericho missile that he was constructing. Then Thunderbolt Ross was bringing in like 600 plus of them when he on his invasion. It's like holy shit, he's not fucking around.
The tech that I might be. This might be a long shot of what I'm trying to get at here, but the tech that Obadiah Stane used in the first Iron Man movie when it like created that high pitched noise and the veins came out from Tony's neck, I'm confident it's the same thing Killmonger did to Black Panther and Rhodes. I
think it was also like the line was very similar to when because he had like the earplugs and whatever it is, like an electronic earbud. Obadiah's was like more of a handheld, I think. Like
well, he did have earplugs too, actually. Obadiah
for sure. But it Killmonger's was like a gun. It seemed. I don't think Obadiah had that, but the line was like, because in this one, Killmonger was like, oh yeah, straight from Stark R&D, like pretty crazy stuff. And then Obadiah, he says like it was an R&D product. It's just it was flagged for whatever inhumane use or whatever it was. But yeah, I totally saw the parallels there. It was very similar line and very similar usage as well, because like in that moment it's kind of like a coming together of our heroes, like Rhodey and T'Challa are kind of facing off, and then all of a sudden, oh no, there's a big bad that's revealing himself, the Palpatine moment.
Palpatine moment. The Watcher really took a back seat in this episode,
especially compared to that Doctor Strange one when like he literally interacts with him.
Literally did.
I felt like maybe I wasn't, because like I really wasn't expecting the interaction between the Watcher and Doctor Strange in this one, or in this one. Sorry, when that episode happened, so that it was like a big surprise, and I think looking back on it, it fit that setting, especially because Doctor Strange is just such a mysterious man. So like he fits in the realm of like, I don't know, different realms, for lack of a better term. And I think I'm okay with him just being more of a background character, unless like he's really interacting with someone that it would make sense for him to interact with. I still love all the cuts of him, and then it like transitions to different scenes and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I love all that usage.
Yeah. Very beautifully done.
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything else. Is there any last things you want to shout out?
Not really, other than like I touched upon just Tony being Tony, and I love seeing him kind of in his workshop again, just doing like all the holographic like AR technology. All that stuff's amazing. I love like the little film reel of like our timeline Iron Man, whether it was Avengers, even him doing the snap, but like all in this animation. It's just
That
really
was
fun.
so cool.
So like all those moments were really good. And other than that, I don't think I really have anything else. I think I'm happy with that.
On the game says, seeing people not happy that both T'Challa and Tony are dead again, that Killmonger is once again a villain. Well, I mean, it kind of maybe it just goes to show, because obviously, like even the zombie episode, we saw Tony Stark die there, and well, T'Challa lived in that one, but I don't know. I still feel like it's different. I mean, maybe that's just something where Tony Stark, no matter what, again, it's an absolute where he always
Yeah.
dies, no matter what the timeline is.
Right.
But like I am willing to trade off the fact that okay, T'Challa and Tony are dead in this timeline. That means that we get Killmonger back, and this down the road allows us to have
Yeah.
Killmonger back in the main like MCU live action timeline. I think that's a good trade off.
Yeah, I honestly, in the back of my mind, I think that is the case. Maybe they like sat down, and made that decision. T- I also feel like in this what if it's not like changing like just them as a character. Like he still has the same like
Mhm.
ideology basically going into it. But now we haven't seen the end of his story yet. Maybe in like part 2, like he does get that shift, and T'Chaka is just such a great father figure to him that he really wins him over, and he's so like pro Wakanda, and he starts saving the day. I don't think it's gonna go that route, just for how it was hinting in this one. And I totally agree with you, though, Taylor. Like, I still feel like because they are just pinning him as another villain, maybe that means that our original one isn't a full villain for what we know. You know, I think even in this episode, maybe I'm mixing up the episodes, but like they dropped the line like no one's ever really gone or no one's ever really dead. So
Mhm.
it's just maybe Killmonger is still sticking around. Imagine if we get live action Black Panther 2 or something, and it just shows like Killmonger like he like collapsed off that cliff, and it just goes to him, and he's just not actually dead. He's like, fuck. Not actually out. Just
No.
like broken ribs and like just feeling terrible. Just crawls his way out of there. What like a lazy way to bring back a character that would be.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I wouldn't want that.
no, yeah. And like just touching upon again on the game's point of like seeing people not happy about it. People are gonna be not happy no matter what happens. Even if this is like the greatest possible episode in existence, there's always gonna be unhappy people. So
Mhm. I mean, it's like a 25 to 35 minute animated episode.
on like a what if scenario, it's like
On
I
a
wouldn't
what if
take it to
scenario
heart. Yeah.
at like 12:30 at night. Like, come on. Just
Yeah, it's pretty late to be complaining, honestly.
it is. Like sleep on it and watch it again the next day and then let us know.
That's a good point.
Oh,
Amir, hello. Good to see you.
shout outs to Amir.
And then MJ dropped, yo, what up, guys? Have y'all heard about Dr. Voodoo and Dr. Strange? I have not. I honestly have no idea who that character is.
I'm with Kirklin. I don't know.
Travis would probably be the guy to ask, but he is he's busy. He's preoccupied. Probably passed out on his couch with like the Disney Plus music going. Something I forgot to mention actually is same thing with like Mandalorian and this show. I just love like the credits with like the fan art. Sorry, it's not fan art. It's like more concept art, but I think they're so beautiful. It's a really fun little shot at just the different scenarios, and yeah, I love those. So shout out to the credit reel.
Mhm. Yeah, it's beautiful. They make great wallpapers afterwards. I have some of the Mandalorian
Oh yeah, those are
pieces as
so
like
nice.
my screensavers. Oh, so good.
Yeah, I must say, just like the shot of the Watcher, I think it's like the intro credits of him like in the space and him in the background, like that.
So
I've
good.
seen that wallpaper. That's just gorgeous.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we did it. We will be back tomorrow for a newscast at some point in time, and then we'll be back next week for more What If. So
Hell yeah.
until next time, We'll see you in the search bar.
Farewell.